Welcome back, everybody. This is the thejonnymar, and I am continuing with Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. So we find ourselves back here in the first town of the game after taking on the first palace of the game, and that was Parappa Palace in our last episode. In this particular episode, we're going to continue towards the second palace in the game, sometimes referred to as the Swamp Palace, but also known as Midoro Palace. So we are going to have to head towards the second town in the game, and we're actually going to have to pick up an item that we are able to now access after getting the special item of the first palace, and that is the candle. So the candle will allow us to see in dark areas, and so we are going to head into this area directly north from the place where you start the game with Princess Zelda. In that particular cave, there is going to be a special item that we were asked to get for a character in the second town of the game. And that is a family trophy of some sort. So I'm going to use the shield spell in here. I don't think I'll need it. And I hate these Keiser bats here. Try to kill them without getting knocked into the lava. That is instant death if you fall into one of the pits. Taking one of Link's 3 lives. 3 so far in the game. We can pick up more of those lives as we progress, and we actually are going to get an extra one in this game, in this particular episode. And here we have a boomerang throwing baddie. I believe that is called a Garaya. We're going to pick up the trophy here, which is the special item. It does not show up in our inventory screen, that we were asked to acquire for the NPC in the second town. But yeah, we're going to continue on here. We're going to pick up our second spell as well. And then we're going to head to the third town of the game after acquiring that spell. If you encounter enemies on any of the roads here, you do not have to actually fight them, which is good. But we're also going to get an extra life. So here is the second town of the game. We did explore this town a little bit, the town of Ruto, and met the memeable character Error. Now again, in this town you can talk to this beautiful young lady and she will restore our health. Again, what she does to restore that health, we don't know. Probably just gives us a potion of some kind. But we need to head into the second area of the town, and then we need to wait outside of this particular house, talk to the NPC, and she will note that we saved the quote-unquote trophy, and she will ask us to come and see her uncle. Hopefully we're not moving too fast here. We're not going to propose or anything, but we do need more magic to progress in the game. So we're going to head down and talk to the second wise man in the game. He's going to give us access to the jump spell, which is necessary to continue through the game. Interestingly, the sound effect for acquiring the magic and also the sound effect of the character talking is significantly different in the Japanese version of the game, the Famicom disc version. It's actually pretty obnoxious sounding. Surprising that they changed it in some ways, but also not surprising. It showed off those extra sound channels that the Famicom disc system had. Now this lady will let us know that we do need a candle to go south, and then we also need the jump spell. Unfortunately, we do have that candle. Again, speedrunners of this game do not necessarily need the candle. They will just do a lot of these areas without having the candle and just do it blind, because they know the areas well enough. So now we're going to head into this second cave of this particular episode. And we're going to progress through. We're going to start facing some slightly more difficult enemies. Hopefully we won't continue to just run into enemies randomly, because we don't have a lot of life. And I am going to use the shield spell because we do have more boomerang baddies here. And I do sometimes have trouble with them. I did pretty good with that one. But if they start hitting me with their boomerangs, it can get pretty difficult. Because essentially, they can't really throw a ton of boomerangs as long as there are boomerangs on the screen. But as soon as one hits you, they can start rapid firing them into your body. And it can start doing a ton of damage. And so we need to try to, yeah, see, I'm almost dead. We need to kill this guy. Okay. Yeah, so that went well, as you can tell. You need to block high or low depending on where the boomerang is. Unfortunately, we will find a full health restore just outside of this cave. So we just have to get through the cave. Now, this guy will actually turn into almost a red demon from the Ghosts and Goblins series if you let it get to the floor, and it'll shoot fireballs at you that you cannot block. So you need to kill it before it has a chance. And here you'll notice you need to use the jump spell in order to progress. Hopefully we will not die. We shouldn't. Like I said, just outside of this cave, there is a little wooded area. And in that wooded area is a fairy that will fully restore your health, if you can get it, and chow down on it. And then we're going to head south through the swamp area here, because there's actually an extra life for us to get. Now these areas are actually not that bad, and the enemies in them, actually give you quite a bit of experience. So, ooh, a pea bag. So if you're looking to level, and we are going to level up our magic and life stats up to 3 before the next dungeon. And then I'm actually going to save my experience to get the 5th level attack in the dungeon. And actually the 6th level attack in that dungeon as well for dungeon 2. But this spot, one to the south and one to the left of the boulder, has an extra Link doll. Now, interestingly, in the Japanese version, you'll notice we have 3 lives now, which is actually 4, including a 0 life. You actually had to stab all items in order to pick them up. And so that was changed in this version. You still have to stab some items like keys. There is somewhere that we need to go in this forest up here, but we're going to come back to that in a little bit after crossing this bridge, which is an adventure area with these annoying bonefish that will chase after you and shoot fireballs and sometimes hit you. Generally what I find is that if you duck right as one comes onto the screen, if it's coming from the front of you, it will actually bounce off your shield. So this is Saria, the water town, which is interesting given how the sages were named in Ocarina of Time. And then this guy notes, the eyes of Ganon are everywhere. So if you start talking to some citizens, I am much too busy to talk to you. Because you are a stranger, they will turn into bats, and they will attack you. So you need to be careful of that from now on. But yeah, in the Japanese version, you had to stab stuff with your sword. They changed that in the American version. This lady lost her mirror. Oh no, we're gonna have to go on an epic quest to find that mirror. And they also changed the game over screen. Now, hopefully we won't be showing that. Where could that mirror be? It certainly could not be in the house directly to the left of where the lady is, right? So if we check under this table, we're not going to find a mirror in one of the laziest side quests ever created. But yes, we are going to find it. And that is all you have to do. So now we're going to return to the lady, and we're going to get our 3rd spell, one of the most important spells in the game. That is the life spell. But the game over screen, actually in the Japanese version, just says game over on a red screen. In the American version, they actually added a picture of Ganon, which is actually, I believe, the only time that you see Ganon during the game, is if you get a game over. And they also added a laugh track over the game over screen, which I believe is a recycled version of Punch-Out, as we acquire the life spell here. And it's either the Soda Popinski or Super Macho Man laugh, or at least it sounds a lot like it. So again, hopefully we will not be seeing that through this playthrough. I'll try to finish the game without dying completely. I may die here or there, but I hope to not game over. So we're going to explore the rest of the town here. There's a little bit of a graveyard, which is interesting that they left the crosses in here. And there's actually a little Easter egg here in the Japanese version. One of the graves actually says, "Here lies Loto the hero," in a reference to Dragon Quest. So for those of you that have played, for example, Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy, in one of the first towns, there's actually a grave that says, "Here lies Link," which is a little bit of a payback or homage to kind of Square and Enix playing off of each other, and then Nintendo doing it as well. So So this thing you have to keep talking to, and he'll let you know that his master is in a woods north of town. So that is your clue, your only clue, on how to progress past this particular town once you finish the second dungeon. So we have to find a cabin out in that woods that is hidden between some action spots where you have to fight enemies. And we have to talk to the person there in order to get a note that will allow us to cross over this huge body of water to the left here in the town. Because this guard will not let us cross otherwise. And if you try to jump, you will die. So don't do that. Another thing that happens if you do happen to die in Game Over is that in the American version, your levels are actually saved. So whatever your current levels are, they will be saved once you restart the game. But in the Japanese version, they're actually reset back to whatever your lowest level was of whatever stat it is. So for example, if you have 8 attack, 4 health, and 3 life, it'll get set back to 3 for all of your stats. Now I could go back onto that bridge up there, but I find that for whatever reason, going right to left on the bridge, I take a ton of hits. So instead of that, we're just going to progress through some of these southern areas to grab a few things and also to avoid that particular bridge. But I do want to also show off the action scenes here with the different enemies, including these really annoying jumping enemies that can be sometimes hard to time. Plus I want the experience. So we'll cross this bridge instead, which has bubbles, and then some of these enemies coming along the ground here. But as long as you have your sword beam, they are pretty easy to kill. You can really notice the slidiness of Link on bridges like that. If you do take some hits, you will find another fairy over here in this forest. Now we're going to head all the way back to the north. We could head all the way north through the swamp to the second palace, but instead we're going to find that guy that was mentioned back in Saria. And to find him, we have to head up to the left and then down 2 spots from the left, and you will find Bagu. And as I mentioned, most of the spots in the forest around Bagu's cabin here are actually trap spots. So they will take you to action scenes where you have to fight enemies. But now we have our note from Bagu, and we will be considered a citizen of Saria. Because we are best buddies. Because no one else seeks out Bagu in his cabin. Whatever he's doing out here. I don't think we want to know. As I mentioned, you can just go through the swamp if you want to the north. We're going to take the roads across here. Once we get the magic hammer, we'll be able to break through those boulders. But for now, we do not have it. So we're just going to progress. And you may have noticed there is a cave over here to the left. And this is actually a cave to pick up some extra experience. But this is a pretty tough action area. So lots of pretty difficult enemies. I'm going to use my shield spell here because again, sometimes timing these jumping enemies can be pretty difficult. And I can take hits. And we also have some more boomerang baddies, some Garayas coming up. Now fortunately they are only the orange ones and not the red. So we're not going to do as poorly against them as we did in that one cave not too long ago. But we are very quickly approaching the second palace in the game, which is again Swamp Palace or Midoro Palace. So we're going to take our magic level up here. Again, my goal is to be at 6 attack, 3 magic, and 3 life by the end of the second palace. And I may have to do a little bit of grinding in Palace 2 to get to those particular stats. We shall see. Unless I get really lucky with my P-drops. So there's actually a full magic restore down here in this particular area. So if you need to use the life spell, which does use a lot of magic, you can then pick up the magic refill here. So it can be slow going to get through these swamp areas. And again, if you do have to face the bigger baddie, you'll have to deal with these falcons or eagles that come flying out of the sky. They're not too bad, they just don't give you too much experience. So it does take a little bit of time to get through the swamp, having to deal with these enemies, and then just how slow Link goes as well. And then in my next episode, we're actually going to take on the second palace. We should be able to finish up Palace 2, and then we'll start heading towards the third palace, which will require us to go through one of the worst areas in the game, which is Death Mountain. Let's head into Palace 2. Check out the entranceway, and in my next episode, we'll take it on. So as always, viewers, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all next time. And there is a magic refill here in the statue. So long! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please press like and leave a comment below. Please also subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell. See you next time!